This is the CBC Evening News.
And a very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Lord with the Wednesday, January 27th edition of the CBC Evening News and our top story. Prime Minister Frundell Stewart has revealed that some fairly substantial amendments are coming for the Public Service Act to make it a bit more user-friendly. He says a lot of the work has already been done and he hopes the amendments would be implemented during the first half of this year. The Prime Minister made that disclosure during a recent meeting at Ilaro Court with officials of the Barbados Union of Teachers, including its President Pedro Shepherd. Mr. Stewart says a draft report based on changes recommended by the unions has been prepared and the unions will be invited to give some feedback. The Prime Minister also says he is pleased that the Education Ministry has put a system in place to meet with the unions so there could be some regular consultation. The BUT President says they are looking forward to regular discussions with the Ministry, which will give them the opportunity to discuss issues and influence policy. Mr. Shepherd also highlighted a number of concerns, some of which were addressed immediately by the Prime Minister, while others he promised to investigate. And Prime Minister Frundell Stewart has responded to some comments from the business community regarding the level of spending from visitors to the island. He made the comments as he addressed the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry's January Business Luncheon at the Lloyd Erskine Sanford Centre. The event was attended by ministers of government and several major figures in the local and regional business community.
When our tourist arrivals were down, the argument in Barbados was that tourist arrivals were down. Now our tourist arrivals are up. The argument in Barbados is that the tourist spend is not enough.
Mr. Stewart noted that different things tend to impact on visitors' spending.
So there is the willingness to spend, which we can try to influence. But if the willingness to spend was the only factor we had to consider, we could then mobilize all of our persuasive energies and try to persuade people to spend more. But that's not the only factor. The other factor is the ability to spend. Not only the willingness to spend, but the ability to spend. If I have only $10 in my pocket, I don't care how much you talk, you can't get me to spend 20. You can persuade as much as you like. If I only have $10 in my pocket, I can't spend 11. And that is a reality which we have to face.
Mr. Stewart says the overall aim is to further enhance the tourism sector. Management of the Grantley Adams International Airport has been given until tomorrow evening to respond to a letter from the National Union of Public Workers regarding outstanding monies for workers at the airport. General Secretary Rosalind Smith made the announcement while speaking to the media following an hour-long meeting at the airport this afternoon. She says the airport owes workers a 3.5% salary increase, which stems from a salaries agreement from 2010 to 2012. Ms. Smith, however, declined to say what protest action would be taken, if any.
We will not know if the letter will say that they have acceded to our request, so there will be no need for protest action. But if it varies, then we would have to do what we have to do that is necessary. Yeah. Okay? That's what I'm saying.
Ms. Smith says they represent about 400 workers, and while she was happy with the turnout of staff, more could have been at that meeting.
We were satisfied with the turnout this afternoon, despite the fact that we had requested permission to hold the meeting and persons were denied permission to attend the meeting. But we will deal with that going forward.
Attorney General Adriel Brathwaite has identified a number of issues he thinks deserve great consideration, including the legalization of marijuana. This as he addressed a large group of drug commanders from across the region and the Organization of American States for the 2016 Pre-International Drug Enforcement Conference at the Crane Resort. As they kicked off their 4-day conference, the Attorney General urged law enforcement representatives from over 20 Caribbean territories to seek answers to some pressing questions.
Are there any benefits to derive from legalizing small quantities of marijuana or legalizing marijuana, full stop? How do we stem the flow of illegal guns into the region? How do we divert more young people from illegal activities? Given our scarce resources, how can we do more with less? In communities where illegal drugs have created an underground economy, if this is taken away, how do we provide meaningful employment for mostly unskilled individuals?
And Special Agent in charge of the Drug Enforcement Administration Caribbean Division, Matthew Donahue, says there is no simple solution to stomp out drug and gun trafficking, but progress can be made through a joint effort.
National law enforcement agencies need to share information on drug production, distribution, including information about precursors and new types of drugs that are coming on the market that are chemically enhanced and psychoactive substances. We need to start sharing the new methods and means that each country is seeing on transportation, on illicit substances moving through, chemicals moving through, and that's only going to be done if we share our information and we get together and we tear down barriers and we can't worry about who gets the credit. Right? We got to worry about the results.
Director of Surveillance, Disease Prevention and Control, Dr. Joy St. John, says CARFA has been active in the testing of samples from many of its member states as they step up their surveillance for Zika.
At this time, polymerase chain reaction PCR testing, capable of identifying genetic material from the Zika virus, is the only reliable test for the virus. Antibody testing is less conclusive because a large proportion of the populations in our member states will have antibodies to other similar viruses like the dengue virus, endemic in many parts of the region, and that can confuse test results.
And manager of the Tourism and Health Program at CARFA, Dr. Lisa Indar, says Zika has the potential to affect the economies and tourism reputation of many Caribbean states.
According to our partners, the Caribbean Tourism Organization, or CTO, and the Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association, the CHTA, there are already reports of travel cancellations in the Caribbean due to Zika. While tourism is the Caribbean's major economic earner, it also contributes to disease spread. The CTO indicated a record 26 million stayover tourist arrivals and 25 million cruise ship arrivals in 2014. This was a 5% rise over 2013, and this trend continued in 2015.
Well, following the confirmation of 3 cases of the Zika virus in Barbados on January 14th, the Ministry of Health is awaiting the results on a further 27 samples that were sent to CARFA in Trinidad for confirmatory testing. This as it continues to monitor the disease. The Ministry of Health is encouraging members of the public to take the necessary precautions to prevent themselves from being bitten by mosquitoes. The Health Ministry says this warning is especially relevant for pregnant women and women of childbearing age due to reports of an increased risk of giving birth to babies whose head circumference is less than expected for their age and sex. And more countries are reporting cases of the Zika virus. It has now spread to Europe, with Norway and Switzerland reporting cases in nationals returning from Latin America and the Caribbean. There are concerns that Zika is already present in countries across the equator that have not reported cases of that mosquito-borne illness.
Because the symptoms are so mild. I mean, what we've heard from the World Health Organization, for example, is they expect it to spread to every single country in this hemisphere except for Canada and Chile. Why? Because it's spread by the mosquito, Aedes aegypti, that also transmits dengue fever, that also transmits yellow fever, chikungunya, and it thrives in relatively tropical climates. So the same places where you've seen those diseases, where you've seen those viruses, and where you find the mosquito, that's where we're going to find the Zika virus. It's already cropping up in the Caribbean, Central America, Mexico, and of course across South America. So yeah, the doctors expect it to spread quickly. There is no vaccine, there is no cure for the virus, so the only way to tackle it is by combating the mosquito, and that's a pretty long-term process. That means what they're doing in Brazil, for example, is sending 200,000 troops door to door to try and eradicate the standing pools of water where the mosquito breeds, try and educate families families, throw out the water, don't let it stand. They're fumigating. But this isn't something that's going to happen overnight. And if, again, you look at Brazil's experience, it hasn't been all that positive. Despite all of their efforts, they had more cases of dengue fever last year than they've ever had. So this is a long-term process.
Meantime, American scientists studying the Zika virus have warned that it could be a decade before a vaccine is publicly available. The virus is linked to shrunken brains in unborn children, leading to severe brain damage or even death. It has spread to more than 20 countries and has caused panic in Brazil, where thousands of people have been affected there. There is currently no vaccine or cure, and diagnostic testing is difficult. The search for a vaccine is being led by scientists at the University of Texas Medical Branch, but they warned that although a vaccine could be ready for testing in about 2 years' time, it may be another decade for it to be approved by regulators. More news ahead in just a moment, but first a reminder that we will be bringing the Prime Minister's address to the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry's January luncheon at 9:02 tonight, right here on CBC TV8. Stay with us. Sandals, sandals, sandals galore. Megville gives you ladies sandals for this week only. Monday to Saturday, one pair of sandals for only $25. So go to Megville on Tudor Street, High Street and Palmetto Street for a pair of sandals for only $25. This week only, Monday to Saturday. Megville for good shoes at good prices on always.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, my darling.
Thanks, Mr. Banks, man. Thanks, man.
Cheers, mate.
One more. Right.
Thanks, man.
Each and every day, we're thankful for something. And we're thankful for you. We couldn't do it without you.
Get a Be Content plan from as low as $35 a month. Call us at 436-6200 for a quote today. Hashtag pay in installments.
This is where I learn. I gain confidence from practice. Teamwork teaches me that some challenges have more than one answer.
Only Milo contains Active Go, which is a blend of Protomalt, a unique malt extract, and micronutrients to help prepare your child to get the best out of their day.
Thanks, Mom. Now I am ready.
Milo, energy food drink of champions.
Distributed by Massey Distribution.
A contingent of Barbadian manufacturing and services companies is due in Guyana tomorrow. The team, led by Minister of Industry, International Business, Commerce and Small Business Development, Donville Ennis, will participate in a series of pre-arranged business-to-business meetings. Guyana is the final leg of a CARICOM trade mission, and the delegation also visited St. Lucia. Barbados' outstanding tourism sector can perform even greater through closer linkages with the agricultural sector. Notwithstanding the challenges of quality and reliability of delivery, Acting Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Food, Fisheries and Water Resource Management, Andrew Giddens, says consumption of local foods is an essential part of the visitor experience.
It is the intention of the government to vigorously pursue and develop our agro-tourism product, focusing on areas such as agro-heritage tourism, where we showcase our agro-industrial heritage, such as Morgan Lewis Windmill, St. Nicholas Abbey, to mention a few. Already, the whole issue of culinary tourism is being developed and expanded, and other areas such as farm-based tourism will be developed.
Mr. Gittins also revealed there will be a renewed focus on the black belly sheep. He says the country cannot sit idly by and allow others to take possession and ownership of this breed.
There will be a renewed effort to expand the flock as well as to improve the quality of the cuts. It is our vision that the black belly sheep take the place amongst the gourmet meat served locally and internationally.
Well, 12 children of the Sayers Court Children's Home are set to benefit from a gift of fans and toiletries. The donation was made today by the Young Democrats, that's the youth arm of the Democratic Labour Party. President Simon Allen says it is part of their own ongoing outreach activities. He hopes that the organization could further mobilize members and other youth to become more active within their communities.
We have our first meeting coming up for the year, and we're trying to mobilize a lot of young people to get on board in terms of assisting in the communities in volunteer projects, whether it's with schools or even with children's homes.
Still to come, news from around the region, but just a reminder that we will be bringing the Prime Minister's address to the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry's January luncheon at 9:02 p.m. tonight, right here on Channel 8. Stay with us.